Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid Atlantic Wrestling Review Series. This is the 26th of December, 1981 edition. Sergeant Slaughter basically says he will put $1,000 on the line for anyone who wants to challenge for the Cobra Clutch Challenge. The problem is that Sandy Scott orders him to have better quality competition. Sergeant Slaughter still also your U.S. champion here, and that is there going forward. Anyway, we open up into the first match, which happens to be, in this case, Mike Miller and Charlie Fulton versus Jake Roberts and Blackjack Wyndham Jr., a.k.a. Barry Windham, although not yet using the Barry Windham name. Jake Roberts does a good job here, super lean in 81-82. Versus what he becomes in 86 by the time he's in WWF and going forward. You can obviously see he's gotten on a little bit of gas there. Wyndham, with some punch kick, basic offense, not really anything to write home about, but you can easily see that he is going to be good in the ring because he's good timing, even with the studio audience, as it were, in terms of getting crowd reactions and the like. Roberts hits a couple of double-edged shots to the midsection, and ultimately, then we see Roberts with the kind of the roll through and arm drag. He keeps on both of his adversaries here, and Roberts and Wyndham, who do end up teaming several times over the next couple of months. I've actually watched up to May of '82, so. Going to add several of these in the next couple of days here. Body slam and snapmare takeover by Jake Roberts. Wyndham comes back in and manages to take some control. Hits a kind of a flying forearm, almost like a Tito Santana, a little off balance. Obviously doesn't have everything down as far as the psychology of matches go or timing, but Jake Roberts comes in, hits the body slam, or in this case almost more towards a backbreaker, and then gets the victory there. And the team of Wyndham and Roberts continue to go with the Russian knee or the running knee lift, and a win for these two individuals. Then we move to the next of the series of matches, which happens to be a match between Ivan Koloff and Billy Robinson and Tony Anthony here. Obviously, Billy Robinson, a major force in the kind of, the British Isles sort of way. Robinson a bit slower than your average guy. Tony Anthony, a newcomer who later becomes Dirty White Boy throughout the Alabama and Smoky Mountain areas. But Robinson, who really has a good bit of control, double underhook suplex, kind of the butterfly version, manages to get some key locks on the arm, super basic stuff. Anthony doesn't want to take any backward steps if he can help it, and that is seen here. He does get a headlock takeover and some other basic things. Robinson continues to beat down his adversary as often and consistently as possible, almost taking him apart in a very basic sort of way. Gets him in the full Nelson and then kind of body slams. It's interesting that Robinson, who is predominantly known for his AWA work in the States, does kind of dump a guy with a power slam type maneuver. Austin Idol says he doesn't want to brag and then continues to be consistently bragging in the nature of promos for local upcoming shows. And then we go to Ivan Koloff, who basically says that, in fact, he is a guy that should be taken more seriously, and that Russia is better than the U.S. Still can do the Russian heel thing in that time frame. Ivan Koloff versus Tim Horner is up here. Koloff still your television champion. Horner coming out of Georgia. Does some tip ups and basic maneuvers. They wrestle over the foundation of headlocks and basic stuff there. Koloff, of course, a former WWF champion, and has been your Mid Atlantic champion for a while. Has been a champion wherever he goes. Really cranks down on the arm. Worth noting that a guy like Koloff gets more out of an armbar than a lot of guys can get out of power bombs today, just by facial expressions, knowing when to torque up on a guy, knowing how to use everything he can. Running knees into the corner gets him where he wants to be, and then again, Koloff manages to go to the top, hits the knee into the back of the head. 1, 2, 3. There we go, and then we see the benefit of Weaver coming along and kind of getting all that together. Also talk about the changes in the tag team division. Speaking of which, Ray Stevens still has one half of the tag team championships that he stole from Ole Anderson, basically saying Anderson will not be allowed to embarrass him. And then we go to next in the series of matches, which in this case happens to be Terry Taylor and Tony Rizzo. Terry Taylor is your Rookie of the Year. Tony Rizzo, to my knowledge, not a acknowledgement towards Vince by any stretch of the imagination. Taylor coming up with basic maneuvers, jockeying for position, arm bars, arm breakers, and the like. Rizzo kind of goes down on the knee, and then we see Taylor switch to the knee. Taylor, who has a very good babyface look, and even the announcers acknowledge over the next several weeks, yes, ladies, he's single, armbar, and Taylor eventually goes and gets a victory. Of course, Taylor usually predominantly gets most of his accolades in the UWF at the time, under the Bill Watts administration, or actually Mid-South at the time, by 82. Leaping forearm, otherwise known as the five-arm. Hype for upcoming matches at local area deals, and then we see guys like both Ray Stevens, who says he wants to get his hands on Ole Anderson, then Jimmy Valiant in a hat, basically saying he wants the championship. So, real basic beginner's promos, but at the same time still having value. Then we move to the, I believe, final match of this particular day. Carl Fergie and Ox Baker defeating Don Cornoodle and Vinny Valentino. Baker and Fergie, the tag team champions for the time. Baker, of course, comes in, bit of a brawler, hits some forearms. Baker, known for the heart punch, having stopped the heart of a couple of guys, gets some rollover on a guy like Valentino. Baker not going to be a five-star classic fighter, but at the same time, a guy that a lot of fans took seriously because he was, well, intimidating. Carl Fergie kind of doing a showboater's gimmick by nature, so contrast there. Don't exactly know what tag team titles they hold because the other tag team titles for the area are held up, so kind of a little confusing there, but obviously Fergie and Baker are victorious. The challenge for the Cobra Clutch Challenge, Sergeant Slaughter, your U.S. champion out there this time, challenged by Blackjack Mulligan Jr., otherwise known as Barry Windham. Takes a good bit of time to get the hold on, and does not get defeated here, but at the same time kind of breaks free a little bit. Good storytelling. They give that about 5 minutes, and they close the show with Slaughter looking good because of the Cobra Clutch. We'll be back with more right after this.